All right, everyone, welcome back to Lion Strong, the place where you get to become who you were designed to be. My name is Lyonel. I am the host of the show. I thank you for being here again today on this episode. I am going to speak on a concept that's pretty damn important to us, especially our population, our generation, us baby boomers, Gen Xers, and everyone else that's getting close to that category. And that's the whole idea of aging. A lot of different things are happening. A lot of different things are being talked about. A lot of different things are being done to be able to help with that. But there are certain things that are not being addressed. And I don't really think people really truly understand the importance of what happens in the body and what we do to combat that in terms of helping with our longevity. And I really want to make sure that I drive that home today talking about this. So we've talked about this before about a year ago or so, and I think it's really important for me to kind of revisit this subject because again, I see so many people that really truly don't understand the importance of this and how that can absolutely change the way their lives are and how everything is going. So we're going to talk about that. One of the biggest issues that applies to our population, our generation, is the fact that as we get older, we lose muscle mass. We get weaker, we get quote unquote older. And that's just accepted as the norm. But what people don't realize is that that is a subject that's happening way younger than we think it is, number one. Number two, it affects us way more than we realize. And a lot of the issues that we deal with can absolutely be prevented, reversed, or even made like non-existent if we take care of this particular thing. So let's kind of go into that. Sarcopenia, which is the idea of losing muscle mass as we age, is part of what goes on in the natural process. The moment you hit 30 years old, basically what happens every decade, your body is going to lose anywhere from 1 to 5% of your muscle mass. Now, that may not sound like a big deal to you, and usually when you're in your early 30s, that's probably not. But what you have to understand is that this is a process that accelerates as time goes by. So what does that mean? Okay, you lost 1% of your muscle mass. No big deal. You still got muscle. You're still good. You're still fine. Everything is great. But 5 years goes by and you keep losing 1% a year. That's actually quite a bit, and it just kind of accelerates and accelerates and accelerates. And you think that, oh, it's not a big deal. You're not really going to see or feel the effects for quite a long time. It might be when you hit your mid to late 40s or even your 50s that you actually go from one day you are capable of everything and literally the next day you cannot. It's going to seem like it's an overnight thing, like you just lost all your abilities just like that, where the reality is it's been happening for 10, 15, 20 years. You just didn't know. That's a problem because most of us are asleep at the wheel, so to speak. Most of us are just kind of going on about our daily routines, focusing on the things that we do on a regular basis, and not really putting our health as that number one priority that it should be. Not really putting actually like just the idea of, well, I got to do some things to keep my muscle mass up because that's going to help with my longevity. We don't think of that until we get to a point where we can't freaking function properly. And then all of a sudden we start looking at, wait a minute, what's happening here? What's the solution? Why is this? And even when that happens, most people don't take the right actions towards getting everything done because they don't know. I think as a whole, our industry has done a disservice to people. And the reason why I say that is because there's a lack of education when it comes to what's truly going on with the human body. And because of that, people are following a lot of fallacies out there. They're doing a lot of things, a lot of trends that's been perpetuated for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years in the fitness industry that really don't fucking help. They actually hurt. They don't make things better. And it's such a shame because there needs to be a re-education of what actually should be taking place for most people. Now, there's a big disparity when it comes to fitness between what's actually fitness and then what most people do when they go to the gym. Most people go to the gym so they can lift, so they can look swole and get bigger, right? They can build muscle and whatever. They're following a bodybuilder's routine pretty much because that's really what's been the quote unquote standard of fitness for most people to follow over the last 50 plus years. And that's a bunch of total bullshit. Now, that can make you look great, that can make you look fantastic, but that will not make you fit. What you have to understand is the way most people train or the way most people go about doing what they do in the gym is so that they can look good, build big muscles that look well, but they don't function properly because they've never trained their bodies to actually integrate and connect those muscles to do the jobs they were intended to do. So you have men and women that are walking around there looking jacked as fuck, looking fantastic as hell, but they can't fucking do anything with them, which is ridiculous to me that you're actually going to put so much time and effort into looking a certain way, but but you can actually perform the way that you look. Now, there are always exceptions to that rule, right? There's a ton of people that I know in the bodybuilding industry who are absolute fucking monsters when it comes to moving their bodies because they do other things because besides those typical things to do that. They also train themselves on a functional basis, making sure that the muscles that they're building are capable of doing all the things that our bodies were designed to do. We are meant to move. We are meant to do some incredible physical feats. The problem is most people, especially people who've been quote unquote training for a long time, have no fucking idea what those things are because they've never done them in their lives. And it's a shame. And it really is something that everyone should have the opportunity to do. Why am I going on about this? Because the industry is just such a disservice in helping people understand that the focus when people go to the gym for most men is I'm going to go ahead and lift and do my little pumps and do a few 3 or 4 little exercises that I do so I can get my arms to look bigger, so I can get my chest to look bigger, and then they neglect everything else, not realizing that, not spending time to really truly understand how the rest of the body functions, where the other muscles are, how to get them to grow and develop, how to get them to tie into everything together is actually helping their decline faster. So even though they are doing the work to build and get better, they're actually not. They're fucking falling backwards and they don't know it. But even worse than what's happening to the men out there is what's happening to the women, because the industry has gotten most women to believe that jumping on the fucking bike and pedaling for an hour is what they need to do to be fit, or just basically jumping around and getting on a freaking Stairmaster and walking for 2 hours or doing some dumb cardio shit is what's actually going to keep them healthy, because they got them ingrained in their mind that if they do anything other than that, they're going to look like the men and they're going to be all muscular and they're not going to be feminine anymore. What a bunch of fucking crock has that been sold to people? Because that's exactly the opposite that needs to happen so that they can live a long life, they can be healthy, and they can be proficient in every freaking thing that they do. The idea of running around and doing all this stupid cardio shit or go to the stretchy stuff because, you know, it's actually gentle on the muscle and it's going to elongate shit is a bunch of fucking crap. Women, more so than anything, need to fucking get stronger. They need to actually lift and build muscle. It is absolutely important for a few reasons. Number one, as it is, you have way less muscle mass as a woman than the man does. That's the first freaking fact. So understand, at 30, you're losing 1 to 5% of your muscle mass. If you're already starting at a deficit in comparison because you have a lot less, don't you think as you're losing it, you're going to actually be affected faster? Case in point, put two people together next to each other, men and women in their mid-50s, men and women in their mid-60s, and tell me if there's a difference in the way that they look physically. And no, they don't have to work out. Actually, I want you to take a look at people that have never exercised, that are not quote-unquote gym rats and everything else, and look at them and tell me that there's not a drastic difference in how they physically look. Now, there could be nice and pretty and good looking and all that stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the wrinkles and all those kind of things at all. I'm talking about their posture. When you look at the women, especially as they're getting into their mid-60s, you start literally seeing the body caving and they start like forming and falling under. And you see the same thing with men as well, but you see it happening sooner in women. The reason for that is because, again, you've had less muscle mass than we do as men, so you lose it faster. And as you get older, it accelerates. So in your 30s, it may not seem like a big deal. In your 40s, it starts becoming one. But I promise you, in your 50s and 60s, it's fucking running away from you fast. And if you don't do something to stop it and reverse it, you are absolutely killing yourself faster when you don't need to. And it's such a shame because it's such a preventable thing and just people don't have the right idea of what to do. So yes, exercise is important, but what you do as exercise matters way more than the fact that you're actually doing stuff. There's a bunch of people that are out there that have been training for years, that go to the gym, that do everything and all that, right? And they can be like, well, I'm doing stuff, I'm doing routines, I work out, I lift weights, I do all those things, so I don't have to worry about that. Yeah, you fucking do, and here's why. Most of you are doing the same fucking thing 10 years later than you were doing 10 years ago, right? The same routines, the same exercises, the same stuff in the same way. Have you noticed how much your body has changed, or I should say, how lack of change that there's been over the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years? There's a reason for that. Yes, you're doing stuff. Yes, you're being active, but you are literally activating and utilizing the same freaking muscles over and over and over again. You're not doing anything different to challenge your body. You're not doing anything different to challenge your mind. You're not forcing your body to grow in any other way. So, yeah, guess what? You're still fucking losing everything else just like everybody else is. You're not immune. You're not better. Until you start doing things to really put yourself in a different position, challenge your body in ways that you haven't done before, becoming stronger, not just with the muscles that you use consistently most of the time, but all the ones that don't get used all the time, right? Getting those guys to improve and get stronger and bigger and better. Until you start doing that, you're absolutely going to feel the effects just like everyone else that's not doing anything. I know, that's very unpopular opinion, right? Very unpopular thing that I'm saying right now. But guys, what you do matters. How you train matters. The way you move matters. If you're teaching your body to move the way it was intended to, forcing it to actually get into positions and doing things that you're not used to doing on a regular basis, you are absolutely creating an environment for your body to grow, for your muscles to grow, for your muscles to get stronger, and for you to stay more resilient. In doing so, you are also improving your bone density, which means that you don't have to worry about falling down and breaking a fucking bone and actually end up dying because, well, that's what happens when you hit your 50s. Did you know, by the way, that was the number one killer for, us, right? Is falling and breaking a hip or anything below that? I know, crazy shit, but that's the truth. So you can avoid putting yourself in a situation where you're actually vulnerable to things that really shouldn't be vulnerable to, just by simply learning how to do the right things for you. So go learn how to move different. Go learn how to move better. Go learn how to swing things that are completely different than what you do on a regular basis. Go learn to move where it translates to what you do every day with your family, so that you can actually play with your kids, grandkids, so you can actually do the things that they want to do, so you can be resilient in doing things without actually worrying about, I did this for one day and I can fucking move for the rest of the week type of thing, right? And so that's really, really important to do that, guys. But don't get caught in the idea that not doing the right things and not training the right way is going to be helpful, because it's not. But along with that, if you start doing that, you also need to make sure that you learn to eat the right freaking way as well. And it absolutely baffles me, man, when I see how the industry has done another great disservice to women, making them think that eating fucking bird food and rabbit food is what's going to actually keep them healthy. I absolutely abhors me every time I hear somebody talking about, yeah, I'm on a diet, I'm doing the right thing and I'm eating healthy. And when I ask, what do you eat? And it's basically, well, I eat fucking leaves and that's about it. And that's a healthy thing. And I'm like, how? How in the fuck are you getting any nutrition out of that? How are you getting the things that your body needs to actually build, man? This is ridiculous to me that people think that that's going to be the key, right? The number one thing that you should be eating, women, ladies, men as well, right, is your protein intake needs to be high enough to sustain your muscle mass. And don't get by into this bullshit that, I hardly do anything, so I need half my body weight or 1% of my... Fuck that. Eat some freaking protein. Eat a lot of it, right? If you can't eat enough of it, supplement it with getting some liquid ones in. Not my favorite thing to do, but I know that can definitely help some people in getting their protein content, improved. But you need to get a shit ton more than what you think you do. So most women out there, when I actually talk about nutrition and I go into numbers, I'm realizing that most of them are probably eating somewhere around 60 grams of protein or less per day. That is absolutely fucking ridiculous. You can't survive. You can't actually keep any muscle in your body if you're doing that. And what you don't realize is that you are killing yourself faster, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a little while before the effects of what you're doing actually materialize themselves. And that's where the problem is. Because it's not an immediate feedback, because you don't see it happening right away, you think you're okay. You're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. You're literally running into a brick wall every time you go work out, right? Doing some dumb shit that's absolutely burning more muscle tissue. And then you're not feeding yourself enough to even keep what you have, let alone replace it. And then you're like, yeah, but I'm healthy and I look good and I'm skinny and I'm this and I'm that. Not understanding that in a couple of years, that shit's gonna bite you hard. The good thing is you can stop that. One, stop running into a fucking brick wall every time you work out. That's the first thing. Two, actually learn to do things that challenge your body to move in ways that you're not used to, right? That'll force other muscles to get activated and grow, and that's going to be beneficial for you overall. But then number three, eat enough to support what you're trying to do. Eat enough protein in your diet. And I don't give a shit how you go eat it, right? I could sit there and tell you about being all different kinds of things. This is not this debate. Okay, I don't give a rat's ass what type of food you choose to eat and how you choose to eat it. But the bottom line is get enough protein. Again, protein. I'm gonna keep fucking saying it. Protein, right? Get enough of that in your diet to sustain not just what you have in muscle mass currently, but also building and growing new so that you can get better. If you do just that alone and nothing else, I promise you, number one, whatever effects you've already had about sarcopenia, that will be reversed immediately. Number two, you're also going to start seeing yourself growing. You see your bone density improving. You see yourself basically feeling like a 20-year-old again because you have the energy and the ability to do things that you couldn't do before. Such a cool thing, man, to put yourself into. Such a different way to go about doing things instead of following the same trends that everyone else is doing because, well, everybody else is doing it. It always baffles me when I see that, right? If you see someone jumping off a fucking bridge, are you just going to jump too because they did it? No, then stop following the masses and actually start paying attention to what's going on with you. Every single one of you individuals have different needs, right, for what your body can do and how it handles things. Learn that and then apply what you need to that and stop following what everyone else is telling you and stop going into doing stuff because, well, that's what I'm used to and that's what felt easy and that's what felt good. Just because it was easy doesn't mean it was good for you. I promise you, if you make the changes, man, in just number one, the way you think and look at things, number two, the exercises and things that you do on a regular basis, number three, the way you eat and the foods that you're putting into your mouth, you will see a drastic difference in what's going to go happen with you and your body and how you feel and your energy levels and abilities to be able to do things. But there's one more thing, too, that you actually need to look at. And I talked about this as well before. If you're doing all of the right things and you're still not seeing things improving, you're still feeling run down, then it might be a good idea to do a damn blood test and get your hormone levels checked. Because there might be some imbalances there that you might need to actually take something to help with. In that instance, I am absolutely for going to see someone, sitting down with someone that's a professional that can actually help you work on increasing your hormone levels so you can actually get there. But one of the things that I've learned, is that if you start doing all the right things yourself, most of the times that will take care of that problem. If you start training the right way, moving the correct way, and eating the correct way, I promise you your hormone levels will naturally increase to be able to get you out of whatever funk that you are. There are instances, however, where that's not sufficient enough. In those cases, absolutely, find an alternative, do whatever you need to for the replacement so that you can actually live the way you are meant to live. Look, we are supposed to be here for a long time, and we're supposed to be here absolutely capable and enjoying that time that we're here. Not freaking sitting and being basically taken care of by somebody else because we can't freaking move, not being hooked up to machines to be able to keep us alive and doing all that crap. That's not what we're meant to do. We are meant to be absolutely functional, completely functional up until the day we just... So wouldn't it be cool, instead of thinking, man, I got 20 years, 50 years, 100 years left, and that, man, is going to suck because the majority of that time is going to be spent with me basically trying to figure out what medications to take so I can prolong my life? Wouldn't it be so much cooler to know that those 20, 50, 100 years that you have left, you can be an absolute total badass in everything that you do up until that last day? You have that choice. You can literally reverse the effects of everything that's happened just by simply doing the things that I just shared with you and become that badass motherfucker that you were designed to be and live that way up until your last day. So when you're gone, it's like, man, I freaking, what a ride, right? I went in kicking and screaming. I did every freaking thing I was supposed to do. I absolutely experienced all that I was meant to experience as a human being, and I'm grateful for that. That's what I want for my life, and I would love to see the same thing happen for all of you guys out there. Your choice is yours, though. Are you going to do what you need to do to make that happen, or are you going to just keep sitting back and keep basically throwing your hands up saying, I don't know why things aren't changing because, it's just what's happening to me? The choice is yours. Hopefully you make the right freaking choice. And if you choose to do so, I'll be there to support you all along the way. And if you choose to remain the same, hey, more power to you. That is your choice. You can do whatever the fuck you want. But man, those of you that choose to actually pursue becoming that badass, I got you. You have any questions, you have any comments, you have any things that you need to know, anywhere, wherever you need me to point you to, reach out, ask the questions. I'll be more than happy to help you guys figure out what to do, where to go, how to do, and how to make it happen. All right. Thanks for listening to my rant. I absolutely loved having you guys there. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace out. Love y'all.